expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
It's that time, y'all. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, it's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, it's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. It's straight talk with Valerie. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on.
What's going on, Detroit? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? You are tuned in to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, Straight Talk with Valerie. Thank you to everyone who's listening via 88.1 FM in Detroit and Highland Park, 107.3 WVIE in the Virgin Islands, everyone that's on Facebook Live, YouTube, and 107.5 HD. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? You know, I often talk about the village and how it takes a village to raise a child. But the village is gone. We no longer have a village. We no longer have the ability to say anything to anyone's kid on our block if they're doing anything wrong. The candy lady, the candy house on the block, it's gone. You wouldn't even want your child to randomly take any food or anything from a stranger or someone on the block. Bigmama, Big Daddy, Nana, Madea has been replaced with Glam Mom, G Mom, and anything else besides the notation of Grandma. And the grandma with the sweeping robe, you know the one I'm talking about, they flowery with the 2 pockets on the front.
6 snaps on the front.
Yeah, with the 6 snaps on the front, has been replaced with something else. So what I want to talk about is the demise of family legacies when it comes to Big Mama and Grandma. And I have one of my friends, we've been friends for a long time. I love her so much. There may be some time that separates us, but never the love in our hearts that I have for Toni Johnson Russell. Say hello to everyone, Toni.
Hi, everyone. No, time will never, ever take away what we built. It was a hard one because, you know, you were a little prickly in the beginning. But, and I'm not too smooth myself, but we were able to come together and form a great friendship, and I love you.
Yes, I love you too. So let's get into this because the death of Big Mama, Madea, or Grandma, to me, is just like the train has left the station and it's chugging along. But then it comes to this screeching halt, right? And at that juncture, that screeching halt is like a death, but everything on board seems to topple over with that death of Big Mama or grandma. So this train, it has left the station. And if you've ever rode a train, it stops multiple times in very short distances, and more people just get on board. It is so trusting that they don't make sure you have your ticket or whatever. You just get on board, and then the conductor checks for your ticket and the validity of what you're doing once that train is moving. That trust, right? And then it gets to that station, that dead end where everybody gets off, that death where Medea or Bigmama or Granny is gone. At that juncture, before my grandmother passed away, there was some family reorganization with a death. You automatically knew who was going to get in that leadership position and who would keep those family legacies going and who would continue to have the Thanksgiving dinner and all of that. That's gone. I know for myself personally, when my grandmother died, I almost felt a sigh of relief. Like, I don't have to be bothered with any of you if I don't want to anymore. And that's cool with me. You know, I'm good. So I'm not guilt-free in this conversation. I'm not. But a lot of times I was getting together with family on both sides, maternal and paternal side, because I did not want to disappoint my grandmother. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put up with these people. I'm going to show up here. Sometimes I needed to be high, you know, but when I stopped smoking weed, it was really sobering. Like, oh my God, this is not considered a good time and I don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
But what's your take on that, Toni? How do you feel about that?
Well, in our family, there were some things that were passed along. And I will say that what my grandmother did and did well with the female population of our family, and this is my maternal grandmother. My paternal grandmother died before I was born. But with my maternal grandmother, she instilled enough of us in each other so that as a group, we could continue on in our own respects without her. The Thanksgiving dinner was passed to my aunt. The Christmas was, we made sure that because we knew that that was something that she cherished, being able to make sure that we all had gifts on Christmas, then we started to give to each other. But what happened was very similar to yours, is that it was never the same. Before, everyone showed up because Granny said dinner it was at 4, so everyone showed up at 4. Mm-hmm. But when she passed away, or when she got sick even, and then passed away, then it was more so the ones that she had instilled in the female population of my family, my cousins and I. It's 10 girls, and then my aunts, and it's 2 of them that are still living. So we lost a lot. And we struggle now with figuring out who's kind of the alpha female in our family. And we've all, I believe, have chosen to accept our parts, and that there will never be someone to fill her shoes, and that we have to carry on the mantle in her absence. But yeah, we lost a lot, and we will never be the same. And I don't know that my cousins after us will have anything like that, because like you said, there has to be one alpha that bears the burden and the load of it all. And I think that part of that dismantling of that is that the myth of the strong Black woman. I thought my grandmother was, and you probably still can't tell me now, that it was a cape under that house dress, because she made it all happen. She didn't have but a 3rd grade education, but she was the wisest person I knew. And there was such a respect for her, regardless of education, regardless of the amount of money. It was the role that she played, and how nurturing she was, and how much love she gave to all of us, family and non-family. So we struggle tremendously in our family from it, and we just try and hold it together the best we can. And we aren't doing a good job.
What do you think it would take to bring that back? I think it's gone, and I think it's gone forever. And I say that because grandmothers are becoming younger and younger and younger, and the way that grandma ran that household, that doesn't happen anymore. My cousin reached out to me, and he was like, wow, I don't know if it was a dream he had or if he was just sitting and reminiscing, but he said he can almost smell my grandmother's homemade biscuits and the taste of that bacon with the rind on it.
Yeah, and the alligator syrup.
And the alligator syrup, girl, you better know it. Or they had some that looked like a paint can that when my uncle would go to Alabama, he would bring it back and you had to open it like a paint can. It was really, really thick. But I love that. She used to make what we would call a hoe cake. And I guess it had its name after I came out on some of them late nights and then come in and she be making them biscuits and I'm hungry. But
something to soak up all that alcohol.
Yeah, something to soak up all the alcohol.
And soothe that hoeing you was doing.
Yeah, she called it a hoe cake. I don't know why, but it was just one big biscuit where she wouldn't cut the dough out. She would just leave it in one big piece of dough and bake it, and then we would just cut it, and she called it hoe cake. We don't smell nothing but weed in these grandma houses.
Yeah, but you know what's something that you said, and I had to correct myself on this, is that the grandmothers, I don't think the age has anything to do with it, but I think the rearing does. Because when you think back on how old your grandmother was when she was raising you and your cousins and your aunts and uncles, she wasn't that far off from the ages that we are now that are, we're becoming grandmas. In fact, younger, because she had her children young. My aunts and my parents had their children in their 20s. So she wasn't that far off. It was the spirit of her that she had carried forth. And if you think about it, it's almost more spiritual because she was carrying forward what she had been taught and what she began to pass on to us. But I think that modernization kind of took away from that traditional role. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it has its pros and cons.
I think it's a little bit of both, because when I think about my grandmother, I think about this very humble, kind, meek woman with 3rd grade education. I think my grandmother went to like 7th. I think she told me.
Y'all was rich. Y'all wasn't working them fields.
Yeah, but she also took a lot off of my grandfather.
Yes.
A whole lot to keep that family unit together. And I believe part of the demise of that Bigmama role, because the role of the man never changes, right? He can be that whore, multiple women, or whatever he wants to do, and that's still a gold standard, and he's not frowned upon or anything from that. And I will admit my granddaddy was a Rolling Stone.
Okay.
It's still some people popping up like, Clarence Kelly, that's my daddy too. And my mother just cuss him out and like, I don't care, basically. But I would like to know where all of my granddad's kids are and what he was doing. He has them everywhere.
Really?
Yes, he has them everywhere. And my grandmother just put up with it for so long. But then she came to Michigan and she lived with us, but she never really got out there and started dating. She was still in the role of keeping the home together because I think that was embedded in her.
Yeah.
And so now I can make some biscuits and hoe cake, but you're not going to be hoeing on me. And I'm just going to be sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, because that's a different mindset. My grandfather was an alcoholic. So who knows? I don't know if there are other families out there that, look to him and know that was their father. But my grandmother took a lot from that. Although he did make sure, there was food in the house and that there was a roof over their head, what she endured to make that happen, I can't say that I would endure today for the sake of anybody.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And, I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the breakdown of Medea, of Bigmama, Nana, whatever you called that person. I called my grandmother Bigmama.
I call mine Granny.
Okay, Granny. And because I don't look at myself as that traditional, as I age, I don't look at myself as that traditional grandma, although I'm not anyone's grandma, but still in that role, my mother is the only one that's left. I do consider myself the matriarch, and I believe my family would consent to that. Like whether it's jail time, court time, sick time, well time, whatever it is, they know they can call on me and I'm going to work it out. There
Right.
is a way. I don't crack under pressure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to figure this out. It will be okay. That's a lot of pressure for me to think about. And it dawned on me one day, like, wow, I'm it. Like if something happens to my mother, I'm it. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? Because I don't want nobody at my house eating nothing really.
all.
Right.
Not a whole cake.
Not no whole cake. And if you've been hoeing, don't come over here.
No.
So it's like, what do we do to get that back? Or is it possible?
That's a good question. And I was just sitting here thinking as you were speaking, and the way my grandmother raised her daughters and also my cousins and myself, she raised us to be independent. She didn't raise us to follow in her footsteps. And maybe she was telling us that this was not the role that she wanted her daughters and granddaughters to play. So I gotta believe that what she endured was extremely painful. And I'm sure that if she had to do it over again, that she would have done it differently. So I believe that is why she raised us and her daughters differently. There are some very traditional things about all of us, but there's some very alpha characteristics about us all that she passed on that didn't say follow in my footsteps. Now you're going to learn how to cook, you're going to learn how to wash these clothes and keep a house, but you're going to go to school, you're going to get an education, you're going to get a job, and you're going to live in the world and be independent of the things that bound me.
I was told the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is passed down to every little girl. Like, I want you to have a better life than what I had. Get your education.
Yes.
And I think that's part of the demise. Because when we talk about Bigmama and Nana, we don't talk about women who were highly educated. Not in my family. They didn't have college education, and they didn't go to traditional jobs. My grandmother did day work. My other grandmother worked at a hotel, the Ramada Inn in Romulus. They didn't have college educations, but they instilled in us that we get them.
Right.
I think we lose some of those traditional values trying to go to school, get that college degree, working in corporate America, and all of those things kind of take away from that traditional role of a woman in the household.
Yeah.
And I think we lost some of it with that.
Yeah.
We also lost some of it as the divorce rate, right? Because we don't have to take what Grandpa was doing or Big Daddy was doing.
No.
We're not going to take that. So you can just get on. I don't care, because now I have my own money. I can take care of these kids on my own, and a friend of the court is going to help me, help you to help us. I don't have to put up with you, and I don't have to take any of this. So you can just leave. Bye.
Right.
Well, Grandma knew, and I can say this and say this publicly. My grandmother became so crafty, like she knew when my granddad was his routine. Mm-hmm. So she was like, okay, well, you want to get you a fifth of Crown World on the weekend and just get drunk and pass out? You go ahead. Now, I'm going to help you. I'm going to have it here for you. Go ahead and do your thing. Then I can leave and do mine. I know exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to wake up, how you're going to wake up, and all of that. And then I can just have peace. I ain't got to listen to your mouth. So get drunk and go on and go to sleep. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting, because my grandfather was a aficionado of the Crown Royal as well. That was one of his best friends. He actually died when I was 13. So that was 1983. And she never remarried and never took a boyfriend or anything else after that. But like I said, she never ever. Now she moved away from that neighborhood because she wanted to move. She had always wanted to move, but there was never anything. There were expectations that were set of her daughters, her sons, and her grandchildren, and that we were going to be better. So we think that maybe it died, and I'm sure some of the traditional, like you said, glamour and all that kind of pushed that to the side. But I have to believe that they wanted that to die as well. As much as they may have enjoyed the role, what they had to do to get to the point where they could have some peace, I don't think they wanted any of us to endure that. So that's why it's like, you're going to get an education. I don't know what you're doing, but you're going to leave here and go to school. And you're going to make sure you take it, and you're not going to get pregnant young. You're going to go out here and you're going to have a life, the life I didn't have. So, and speaking with you now, it's like they gave us something that we didn't even know that they was giving us, a push forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
In such a gentle way. In such a loving and caring way.
Yeah, because you never felt abandoned. You never felt like she left you or put you someplace where she didn't believe you could thrive. It was always a place that she had already prayed in advance for, because we still, that little meme says, we still operating on the prayers of our grandmothers, and we are.
I know I am.
I know I am.
She was praying for me when I didn't know how to pray for myself.
That part.
And those prayers are still working. And as a matter of fact, when you were talking about your grandmother instilling so much into you, I know right now in a situation, any situation I get in, I know exactly what my grandmother would say. I just want to hear it. I want to feel her embrace, get that hug, shed that tear, and let her tell me it's okay. But I can conquer anything with the wisdom that my grandmother gave me. Sitting on the side of the house shelling them peas,
Girl.
It was a lot of conversation going on. It was a lot of knowledge passed down. It was a lot of wisdom imparted. It was a lot of street sense. I learned how to navigate in corporate America from the stories of my grandmother having to deal with white people and institutionalized racism and everything in the South. And she would sit there and tell me, like, no, you can win. She taught me how to play chess instead of checkers.
Yeah.
With her wisdom. Don't always show your hand. Them old cliches, left hand ain't got to know what the right hand doing. You know what?
And when you were younger, you like, what?
And she also told me, girl, I don't care how that man look. It ain't who you love, it's who love you. And I'm like, nah, But now she's right. If a man really loves you, especially loves you more than you love him, he's not going to hurt you. He's going to take good care of you. So all of those old cliches she used to say that didn't make any sense, now all of those things have meaning and they have purpose. And I appreciate them.
She was giving jewels when we didn't even know. We did not even know.
Exactly.
But then there, we can't be neglectful of the mindset that there are some that were just not going to get those lessons. They wanted to be a grandma, not a grandma. And they are still, there's a generation of kids that I don't know how they're gonna operate, because is grandma praying?
I know she playing. And she might be praying, but preying. So, I don't know. And I'm not going to say that. I'll take the humor out of it and won't be facetious in this moment, but to say, do they know how to pray? For real. Because I had to learn that.
Yeah.
I was praying for the wrong things for a long time.
Yeah. I agree. I throw myself in there as well.
And doing too much. My prayer is simple now. If I'm praying for you, it's very wordy, very inclusive, and somewhat long. For me, it's Lord, protect me, correct me, and direct me. And I'm done. That's it.
You made me think. When I pray, because because we've had illness and sickness in our family, we have a 1:00 prayer time where we all pray in unison. And intercede on behalf of each other and our family. So when I pray, I was just thinking about that prayer. I pray when I wake up in the morning, and it's a thank you for being, seeing fit to wake me up this morning. And thank you for whatever blessings you're going to bestow upon me on this day. At 1:00 is strictly my friends and family and protecting them from hurt, harm, or danger, spiritual, physical, and things seen and unseen. So it's very intentional. If there are some that are suffering that I know, then I'm praying for them individually. So the prayers are very simple and they're very succinct. I don't think that I pray really long prayers. I do meditate and allow whatever is on my mind to become something that's not, it's give it over to God. But I don't know that I actually say a lot during that time, and it's just surrendering myself more so.
Yeah, because we know that God knows our heart. And I can remember my grandmother a lot of times just sitting and just humming a hymn. And you can hear that subtle humming.
My grandmother, I'm rocking because I was reminded of when she used to sit on the porch in that rocking chair and we would rock. She didn't say a lot when she got out there. It was just her time to just be.
Yes. And that's a wonderful thing to reflect on, because I don't go anywhere near a rocking chair or any of that. One thing I will say I'm proud of is instilling a family day on Sundays. Now that my great nephew is residing with us because of COVID, he instituted it. Like, we should do family night. So every Sunday we have dinner together and each of us pick a movie. It's on a rotation. And we pick a movie and go downstairs in the theater room and watch the movie and then go to sleep. That's our Sunday routine, and we've been doing it since COVID has come into play. And now I look forward to it. It's just a wonderful time for us to sit together as a family, have that dinner.
Yeah.
We pray and we take turns who says the grace. Even he is included. And we just go clockwise. And we do the same thing with movie night on Sundays. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It brought so much joy and love and unity. It really unified us. I can't say that our family unit was strong before he got there. Monroe would go do his thing at Chrysler. I'd do my thing, and Tracy would do her thing. And we would I would go to my room. She'd go to her room. He would be downstairs or outside. There was never a time where we came all together. We would have date night.
Yeah.
Like once a month where him and I would say, okay, we got to put everything aside and we need time for ourselves. But COVID destroyed that as well.
Yeah.
So I think having this conversation with you in this space, I'm going to try to institute more of the things that I saw my grandmother do. It's a lot of lessons I learned from her that she didn't teach me.
Yeah. We witnessed. We witnessed.
Just from observation.
So your great nephew is getting the grandmother experience or Big Ma experience. And it's funny because it sounds like she's living through him and making sure that y'all come together and have that, which is amazing. We don't, my husband, it's just my husband and myself, as you know. We try to have dinner together every night. He prays and we get to talk and decompress, and we've tried to institute no business talk after a certain amount of time, because owning your own business and then trying to be a couple, and some of those businesses are involving both of us, you can be talking about things 24 hours a day, nonstop. So in an effort to make sure that we have time where we just enjoy each other after 7 o'clock, no business talk. No business talk, but we try to make sure that we have dinner together. Sometimes I cook, sometimes I don't. I'm a great orderer, but I'm a great cook as well. So we got a good mix, and he cooks as well. So we try and have our time where it's just us to decompress. With our family, like I said, we haven't been doing a great job of being as together as we once were. We do have holidays that we spend together, but we don't have like a traditional Sunday dinner like we did when my granny was alive.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Those of you who are listening, you are listening to 88.1 FM. If you're in Highland Park in Detroit, 107.3 WVIE in the Virgin Islands. Everyone on a Facebook Live and RadioWeCanSee.com. This is the real Black Coffee, no sugar, no cream. And we're talking about the demise of the family legacy. What happened to Bigmama? And we're going to be right back after this break.
place with many parts. Some are players, some are sharks. Broken minds, broken hearts. Admitting that is where it starts. Recognizing who they are and don't let it go too far. Get that demon out your car and don't look back or there'll be scars.
No matter how far down you fall, there's a great purpose to it all. It's all a part of God's plan to get you to a place where you can stand. Every time I think about the pain and all the life lessons that I gained, changed my thoughts and now I'm free, free to walk into my destiny. My spirit's now free and I'm giving thanks, thankful I can finally breathe again. I feel like going on, 'cause I let it go, gotta let it go, gotta let it go, gotta let it go. The pain, regret, the guilt, the shame is all a part of the enemy's game to distract you from God's plan for you.
Yeah, see what we want ain't always best. Trusting God and worry less. Crossing fingers, holding breaths. A waste of time at best. Good character comes from tests. And when your life's a mess, just don't hold on to pain and stress. Just let it go and you'll be blessed.
There will always be rain. Trials of life will come. There will always be sun through God Almighty. The difference is how we respond. No matter what happens to you, gotta keep moving on. Gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. The pain, regret, the guilt, the shame is all a part of the enemy's game to distract you from God's plan for you.
Welcome back, and we were listening to Let It Go by Vic Ballard and my wonderful social worker and warrior sister Trisha Duckworth. She wears many hats, and I just love that song because you do have to let a lot of things go. But one thing we don't really want to let go of is that family legacy and Bigmama. And that's what we're talking about. And I'm here with my friend Toni Johnson Russell. And we're going to now go into having Bigmama on the block. That was awesome to have Bigmama on the block. But I used to get jealous, and other kids would call my grandmother Bigmama, and I would be like, don't they have their own grandma? Why they got to call you Bigmama? Oh, I used to get so mad. But now I know that was an honor for other kids who didn't have their grandmother readily available like I had mine, to gather around our front porch and to embrace the love and everything that my grandmother had to give. And now knowing that she has so much love to give, it was enough to go around.
It was. Now imagine that. And my grandmother she lived on the north end across the street from a park called Dolores Bennett Park.
I know.
So everybody in that neighborhood knew Miss Johnson. Hey, Miss Johnson, how you doing, Miss Johnson? You just be like, did everybody have to come past here? Because because my grandmother did so much, it was very rare that you had her to yourself, unless you're getting your hair pressed or washed or something like that. So to be on the porch and it was just you and her and 900 people coming past. Hi, Miss Johnson. How you doing, Miss Johnson? How's it going? And it's just like, okay, enough. I'm trying to have a little time with my granny.
Exactly. I was so selfish, and not including my other cousins being born. I harassed them until I got older. Like, why are you here? Whatever. I had this all to myself, under control. And then my other grandmother that lived in Romulus, in a part of Jones Sub by where the church was, she lived on the corner of the two main thoroughfares, Beverly Road and 4th Street. And it wouldn't be anything that I probably wanted to eat after I had smoked my weed and went in the kitchen. But then on Sunday, all of this food just magically appeared, and everyone from the neighborhood could eat.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And she turned nobody away.
And she did not turn anyone away. Now, she would have things in there, but it wasn't like Sunday. So it's like, when Sunday came, it would be blackberry cobbler and dump cake, beans, greens, and she never ran out.
Yeah.
It was just food for days, and everybody can come into Miss Liz's house and get something to eat. And nothing was said. I don't care. They could be drunk, sober, high, whores, pimps, whatever. They could come in my grandmother's house and get something to eat.
Wow.
It did not matter. And everyone knew her and everyone loved her.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit into Granny Lena's legacy, because she left a legacy on the North End. Tell me a little bit about what she did for the community in detail. And then we're going to talk about what inspired you to start Lena's Love in Action Backpack Day.
Okay. Oh, on the North End, 427 Smith was the address, between Brush and Beaubien. Like I said, across the street from the Dolores Bennett Park. Miss Bennett was a great friend to my grandmother. They did a lot together. And Miss Bennett used to send everybody over to use my grandmother's bathroom, and she used to be so mad because her water bill would be so high. I have to imagine her and Miss Bennett worked something out at some point. But what my grandmother did was, she was that place, especially like you said, everybody could come and eat. I remember my father and my aunts talking about how she would always make enough biscuits so that when the neighborhood kids came over, because it wasn't a lot. So if you could get you a biscuit to make it through the day, then that was all, it was always a warm biscuit waiting for you. And how her and her friends used to barter stuff. Oh, I got flour. Take this down to Miss Rosalie and she gonna give you some icy hot, girl. Just some icy hot wrapped up in some aluminum foil.
That's okay. It was enough.
But and she also used to do hair, so she was could straighten your hair and curl it like nobody's business. So that's how she made her little extra money. But she always tried to make sure that her doors were open to whomever needed. And she and all of my our friends on the park and my aunts and uncles' friends, they just looked up to my grandmother with so much respect and honor that they would never bring any trouble to that door, and they always made sure, because the door stayed open, they always made sure no trouble came and tried to darken that doorstep either. So she was just revered in that neighborhood in the way that she honored she honored them and they honored her. So she made sure that it was always a place to stay for the people that needed it in terms of if you needed help. She gonna make sure she can try and find you some help. If you needed clothes, we got a few extra clothes around here. If you, I heard so and so had a baby, take these things around here. We got some things from when so and so was a baby. It was always it was such a community feel, and I guess that goes back to where you said what happened to Bigmama. What happened to community as well? Because it was a lot of Bigmamas, and they was a network girl that was unstoppable. They was praying on Sunday, and Monday through Saturday they was making sure that they could reach out to one another and create a safety net for the neighborhood.
Yep, like the help. I'm going to run this clip of Lena's backpack day. Roll that for me, Marquise. And then we'll come back and talk about how this started.
Hey, if you've wanted to learn about Lena's Love in Action and also Backpack Day, but you're just not quite sure of what it is we do and who we are, then let's talk a little bit about it. Lena's Love in Action is a nonprofit named after my grandmother, Lena Mae Johnson. Our goal is to provide resources to those in need, and Backpack Day is a manifestation of that love. Lena's Love will provide a backpack filled with school supplies that include spiral notebooks, 2-pocket folders, pencil bags with pencils and erasers, crayons, and any other school supply that we can get our hands on in bulk that we can supply to those in need. Last year, we were able to service or provide backpacks to 523 kids. This year, we're doubling that goal, and we're hoping to make sure that we can bring smiling faces to 1,000 children. My grandmother would be so proud of this effort, but in order to execute it, we need
donations, gifts.
So, I couldn't make it too serious because my personality just wouldn't let me do that. But here's all the information if you want to support us, and we hope that you will. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
So, tell us what inspired you to start Lena's Love in Action and Backpack Day.
Well, it was after, I believe, the Trayvon Martin shooting. And there was just a sense of there is no cavalry that's coming to save our neighborhoods. And I wanted to do something, but I wasn't quite sure of what it was I could do. So I put a post on Facebook with my friends and was like, give me some ideas on how I can get some backpacks together because, school was about to start, and I felt like that would be the quickest way I could reach some kids and just, if for nothing else, just help them out. Because in my mind, this was gonna kind of be a one-time work of kindness or act of kindness, if you will. And when I tell you my friends showed up, it was just like, oh, I got, I think I said I wanted to do 250. And in 2 or 3 days, I had donations and enough backpacks just to get them to 250 kids. And I was blown away. And my husband and I talked about it because I often look back on that moment and was like, what made them do it? And he was like, I think it's you. People trust you and know that whatever you say you're going to do, you're going to do. And they didn't have to be concerned about if the monies were going to actually impact the kids that you wanted them to. So from there, and when we actually distributed the backpacks, the outpouring from the neighborhood, because it's the neighborhood that I grew up in off of Greenfield and Schoolcraft, for the kids to show up. And the question that we were most asked that day by the kids was, what do I have to do to get this? And it was nothing. And I can almost cry just thinking about it because they're so used to there being hoops that you have to jump through for somebody to do something kind for you. So the backpacks were gone within an hour and a half, and we had hot dogs, and even those, there were just homeless people coming up like, I haven't eaten all day. I don't need a backpack. Can I just have a hot dog? You can have 5. You can have as many of them as you can carry. And it just made me realize that, no, there isn't going to be a Calvary, but if I can just help 2 or 3. And it just reminded me so much of my grandmother, because that's how she was. She didn't have a lot. My grandmother never worked outside of the home. She did hair, and like I said, she was able to get her own money in that way. And after my grandfather died, she had his pension and Social Security. But my grandmother never worked a day outside of that home. But you would never know, because we never went without. We never went without. So it started out with just me being able to find a way to tithe. I was no longer... how can I put this? I was no longer interested in just pouring money into a church facility where I couldn't see the outcome. So I wanted to touch the people. I wanted them to know that it was somebody that cared. And although I'm not a Calvary, I can give you something that'll help propel you to the next level of your education. Because like I said, for my grandmother, education was supremely important for me and my cousins.
I agree. And I was just elated when you reached out, and to be able to play a part and to see the video footage of the kids and their faces
Everyone
when they came, and I'm tearing up just from having dinner with you that one time and just discussing it in detail. And it was just such a wonderful thing to see unfold, and the manifestation, like, it was so, I can't even put it into words.
I can't either.
Just that U-Haul backing up, and then it expanded to coats and all of these other things. So for our listeners, how can they make a donation to Backpack Day? Is it a way they can contribute?
Absolutely. You can donate through Cash App at using the $ in the front. Lena's Love in Action. LENASINLOVE. Did I say it right? LENASLOVEINACTION. Lena's Love in Action. And they can also, if they are not able to do it electronically, you can mail any checks or money orders to P.O. Box 2152, Birmingham, Michigan 48012. And if you also are not interested in maybe doing a cash donation, I developed a retail line or a lifestyle brand that is used to actually support Lena's Love in Action. Because what I found is that I was really fundraising, and it was also all concentrated into one place. So I was fundraising, I was shopping, I was doing everything in this very condensed amount of time. So I wanted to be able to plan better and actually have more money throughout the year to do other things as well. So I developed LLIA Lifestyle, which is the initials of Lena's Love in Action Lifestyle. And you can go there and purchase what I call street gear, mission-minded street gear. And I mentioned 427 Smith. There's a Smith bag. In the neighborhood that I grew up in at Greenfield and Schoolcraft was Winthrop. So there's a Winthrop bag. And these are crossbody bags that are used, that you can use for just about anything. They've got multiple uses. And you can follow me on Facebook to add those pages as well. But if you'd like to purchase a bag, you can go to LLIA.lifestyle.com, and 50% of the proceeds of those bags go to fund the mission of Lena's Love in Action.
Well, thank you. And let's take a look at the bags. So here is one of the bags in the lifestyle line. righty, so you got a chance to see one of the bags from the lifestyle line. So what did we see, Toni?
We saw the Smith bag. That's the larger of the two. One is a little smaller. That one has more capacity to store items. As you can see, it can fit a lot in there, and it's still real cute. And I showed some of the things that you would do if you just want to make a fashion statement, but the bags can be used for multiple uses. Small diaper bags, carrier crochet. I had one young lady buy them. She's a diabetic. She put all her diabetic supplies in there. And there are some that come customized as well. So, yeah. And then, like I said, there's another bag that's smaller. It's called the Winthrop Bag. And one of the differences on that bag is that it has a gusset so that you can carry a drink as well. And there's not as much internal storage, but it's still just as cute. You can still be foxy with either or fly, whichever one you are. So,
Yeah, and I know it's also doubles as a man bag. I saw
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah, it's
representing the
unisex.
bag. So what's up, Chris?
You're going to
He's
be so
supporting
happy you
his
shouted
woman.
them out.
And he had that bag. I really appreciate it. And I thought, and he probably was like, yeah, I got away. But no, you didn't. What's up, Chris?
Yeah, he is my model, my muse, especially with COVID. So when we had to make do, so if it's like, hey, look this way, pose. Let me get this picture so I can put these ads up so that we can move these bags. You know, that's my ride or die. He gonna make sure that he smile it and make it right.
Absolutely. And you're one of my favorite couples. I love you both so much.
Thank you.
Toni, just thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for giving me hope that legacies can continue, because I have been to many funerals in my family and otherwise where that old cliche, the richest place on this earth is the graveyard, became true because what that person had built died with them
Yeah.
because it was no one to carry it on. And you have resurrected something in me to say, hey, you can do something where the legacy will be carried on and literally carried with the lifestyle
Yes,
bag, right?
literally carried.
But to show that we have to be creative. I'm not a Bigmama or a Nana, but there are some things that I can do to have that village concept and community concept resurrected, and to help those that are around me. So I thank you so much for being here today. Are there any parting words that you would like to share with the listeners?
One, I want to say thank you for always supporting me. Like you said, we don't always see each other, but I know that you always support me and have my back, and you've actually been an inspiration with a lot of things that you've been doing. In parting, like I said, I wanted to repeat some of the information. If people wanted to donate, you can use Cash App, and it's Lena's Love in Action, with of course, the money sign in the front. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Lena's Love in Action, and you can also donate with checks or money orders and mail those to P.O. Box 2152, Birmingham, Michigan 48012.
Great. And the Backpack Day is an annual thing. So what date is that? When does that take place?
I believe the date that we're trying to target is August 28th. I believe it's the last Saturday in August that we're trying to do. And this year we're trying to touch 1,000 children, which is double what we've done last year. And we're well on our way to doing that. It's a goal that I didn't think that I'm trying to do things that I don't think that we can meet, and my friends and family and the people that support just continue to overwhelm me with kindness, because they have as much of a heart to see these kids successful as I do.
Right. And I've learned, and you've been with me from the beginning of launching any of these businesses. And what I've learned is if your goals don't scare you, they aren't big enough.
Yeah.
There should be some, not fear, but a little bit of anxiety associated with it. And then God shows up and shows out every time. Everything comes to that true manifestation, right?
Yes.
So thank you. We're going to get out of here. You have been listening to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. And we talked about the demise of the family legacy. What happened to Bigmama? So if you have just an ounce of Bigmama in you, defibrillate it, bring it to life. And if you don't have any, there is still something we can do to create the concept of the village. We need it. Our young people need it. You have been listening to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. You know I don't spill any tea or try to make you feel dazed like you drank a shot of cheap liquor. I just want you to see things from a different perspective. Mine. And we're out of here. See you next week. Stay safe. Stay healthy. So long.
He woke me up this morning. My heart is beating and I'm breathing and I feel so alive. I got everything I need. A home to live in, a bed to sleep in, and food in the fridge. Yeah, yeah. It's good, it's so good. God is so good. It's good, it's so good. God is so good. It's good, it's so good. It's so good. Because I know he loves me. I want to show him that I love him too, with the things I do and keep his commands. We must understand, no matter what we're going through, it's all a part of God's plan. Yeah, he loves us so much that he gave his life for us, so that we can be saved and have life. Live this life.
All day long, all day loving, he's the bomb. He gave the gifts to make the song. He's always right and never wrong. The Torah is curriculum. Study it and get you some. Follow it and blessings come. That's right. Yeshua's the example, since we always eat the apple. His grace is always ample. Always ample. His word is the best for us. His life is a test for us. Be careful, don't be blasphemous. He's infinite, magnificent, fabulous perfectionist. He brings out the best in us. He's worthy of praise by glorifying his ways and keeping his holy days. Yeah. Love your neighbor as yourself. Doing that will bring you wealth and fixes your spiritual health. I think we all can agree that we want to be loved, so to God be the glory.
What, you thought it was over? Not yet.
WGPR Detroit HD2.